My name is Zhou Yining. I'm 25, a hopeless romantic with a bruised heart and a Wattpad addiction. I thought love only existed in fiction, until I gave a scarf to a stranger in the snow, and found myself living inside the plot twist of my own story. I wasn't looking for love that night. I was looking for peace. After getting ghosted by my long-term boyfriend and fired from my copywriting job, I sat alone on a bench outside the train station, watching people rush past like I was invisible. Then I saw him, wrapped in a faded hoodie, sketching in a notepad with charcoal-stained fingers. His shoes were worn. His eyes were haunting. Everyone walked past him like he didn't exist. I don't know what came over me, but I stood up, walked over and gently draped my scarf around his neck. He looked up, startled. "Why?" he asked. I smiled. "Because it's cold, and you look like you've been in winter for a while." He blinked, not used to kindness. Then he handed me the sketch he was working on. It was me, sitting alone, staring into space, looking like the girl who just had her dreams ripped apart. I gasped. "How did you?" "I draw stories," he said quietly. "And you looked like a story waiting to happen." He didn't ask for my number. He didn't flirt. He just stood, nodded once, and disappeared into the snowy crowd. I thought that would be the end. Just another sad, poetic stranger I'd write about on Wattpad later. But 2 weeks later, he walked into my new office, wearing a suit and a name tag that said CEO. I nearly dropped my coffee. Couldn't be him, but it was. Same deep eyes, same quiet energy, except now instead of charcoal smudges, he wore a charcoal gray suit. He scanned the room, then stopped right on me. I froze. The HR manager beamed. "Everyone, please welcome our interim CEO, Mr. Shen Liwei." People clapped. I didn't. Because how? How did the man I gave my scarf to, the man I thought lived on the streets, now walk in like he owned the sky? Because he did. Shen Liwei was no artist. He was heir to Shen Innovations, a private tech conglomerate so elite, most people only knew their logo, not their faces. I hadn't recognized him because he never let himself be seen. He approached slowly after the meeting ended. "Zhou Yining," he said, like tasting my name. "We meet again." I opened my mouth, but no words came. He reached into his pocket and pulled out my scarf. Still clean. Folded. "I figured you might want this back." I shook my head. "It was a gift." He smiled faintly. "Then I'll treasure it properly." I couldn't breathe. "I thought you were poor," he finished. "I was." He looked past me, then added, "Not in money. In trust." "I wasn't testing you, Zhou Yining. I just wanted to see if kindness still existed. You gave it freely. And then softer. You didn't treat me like I was nothing. Now I'm trying to figure out what you are to me." I was shaking, because what I thought was a fleeting Wattpad moment was turning into a reality I had no idea how to handle. Days passed. He didn't flirt. He didn't cross lines. He just existed quietly, asking thoughtful questions, noticing the smallest things like how I always skipped lunch but never skipped work. Then one Friday, as everyone packed up, he walked past my desk and said, "If you're not busy tonight, I'd like to show you something." I hesitated. Was it a date? A trap? A prank? But curiosity won. He picked me up in a sleek black car, the kind I'd only seen in dramas, and drove silently to a glass high-rise I'd never noticed before. His penthouse. The elevator opened straight into a space bathed in gold evening light. No luxury flaunting. No loud branding. Just minimalist elegance and easels. Dozens of them. Sketches. Paintings. Charcoal. Watercolor. Mixed media. All of me. Me on the bench. Me staring into the distance. Me laughing while feeding stray cats on lunch break. I turned slowly, heart pounding. "You've been watching me?" He shook his head. "I've been seeing you." He walked to one canvas, an unfinished piece. I didn't think I'd find the ending. I stared at him. "Why me?" He looked straight into my soul. "Because you saw me. Not the money. Not the mask. Just the man in the snow." He stepped closer. "This wasn't supposed to be a story, Yining. But it is. And then he added, barely a whisper, "It's the only one I don't want to end." I was breathless, torn between fantasy and fear, because fairy tales weren't real, right? And yet, I was standing in one. The question was, would I believe it or run from it? I couldn't sleep that night. His words replayed in my mind like a looping melody. It's the only one I don't want to end. But I'd been hurt before. Left for girls with richer fathers and shinier resumes. And what was I? Just a dreamer who wrote fanfics and gave away scarves like they were spells. So I did what I always did when life felt too much. I ran. Texted HR the next morning. I resign. Packed my desk in silence. Left my badge and dignity behind. It hurt, more than I expected. But I wasn't going to be another girl who fell for a prince only to be told I wasn't princess enough. 2 nights later it rained again. The same kind of rain from the night I met him. I was curled up in my tiny apartment, rereading old Wattpad drafts like they held answers, when there was a knock. I opened the door and froze. It was him. Soaked. Silent. Holding something under his coat. "I'm not here to change your mind," he said softly. "Only to leave you with the truth." He handed me a roll of paper, the original charcoal sketch of me. The one he gave me on the bench. "You made me believe in people again, Zhou Yining." He turned to leave, but then he paused and said, "If this is still just fiction for you, I'll close the book." Then he looked back once more. "But if you're willing to write a new ending, I'll hold the pen with you." He left me in the doorway, heart trembling. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just a story, it was a choice. The rain felt like needles as I stepped outside. I didn't grab an umbrella. I didn't put on shoes. I just ran. Down the stairs. Into the street. And there he was, walking away, slowly, shoulders heavy like a man who'd finally given up hope. "Shin Liwei." I yelled, breathless. He turned. Raindrops clung to his eyelashes. His lips parted like he couldn't believe I'd come. I held the sketch to my chest and whispered, "You forgot something." He walked toward me, cautious. "What?" I looked him dead in the eyes. "Your ending." He exhaled like he hadn't breathed in days. "I don't want to be rescued," I said. "And I'm not here for your empire. I'm here because in every version of my story, I wanted someone to see me." He reached out, gently touching my wet hair. "I saw you the moment you gave away your warmth to a stranger." I smiled. "And I'll give it again. But this time, not to a stranger." He pulled me in, resting his forehead against mine. No diamonds. No speeches. Just understanding. The kind that doesn't need words. Weeks later, we stood together at his gallery launch. Not as CEO and staff, not as rich and poor, but as 2 people who had finally written a story worth reading. The final portrait? A painting of that rainy night. 2 figures on a bench, a red scarf between them. Title fiction until it wasn't. And under the soft gallery lights he whispered, "Turns out the best love stories aren't written. They're lived. When someone sees the real you, not the mask, not the money, that's not fiction. That's forever." If you like this story, hit the subscribe button and like this video for more. Thank you.